Hey there, and welcome back to the IT Guy Show. This is a special edition episode of our podcast, and as we teased in the big show, joining me is Aaron Honeycutt, and we've been talking a little bit about NixOS, and so something that we just couldn't capture on a regular podcast episode, and especially with our audio viewers. Audio viewers, that's great. Good job, Eric. With our audio audience, was really sharing the screen and kind of getting a walkthrough. So Aaron has graciously agreed to give us a walkthrough of his Homelab and kind of talk us through NixOS. So Aaron, why don't you lay some groundwork for us? What are you going to show us, and then we'll share your screen.
Hey, so I'll show my home setup. So my server running in the basement, running NixOS. It has two 1 terabyte drives, RAID 1 set up, and then a separate OS drive for Nix. So all my music, videos, photos are going to be on the RAID 1 setup. So if one drive dies, we're all good. And then a small 250 gig drive, which I'll upgrade later at some point, to a larger one just for the OS. And then I can show up like a little flake I have for Rust development. It works on x86 and ARM projects as well. And then that's kind of it for right now, unless we had any pop-up stuff.
Yeah, let's dive in and show us around.
Okay, so I guess maybe some people will figure this out. All my machines' host names go by Mass Effect games. So the Homelab box is called Edie because it's the AI. And then you'll probably see Sam, which is another AI, but in the Andromedon universe because it's a little virtual machine Ampere CPU I'm doing Oracle Cloud stuff on. So this is where all my home stuff's going on. So
That's
generally,
always it's always fun to ask people how they name their systems. Most of my key systems are named after Tony Stark's, aka Iron Man's, AI assistants. So I've got Jarvis here. I've got Veronica and Edith are my phone and tablets, and I've got a Windows laptop that I use for Windows based gaming. That's Ultron. So, but that's I should make that a standard interview question. How do you name your home servers? All right. So what are we looking at?
so this is configuration file, so it kind of defines the entire system. The bootloader, any files, stuff that settings that I want to change that are kind of universal. I kind of go by any services that I'm going to run on the box. I put into a subfolder, as you can see up here, services directory. So I'll have Glances, which is the dashboard, Cloudflare, which is handling the dynamic DNS stuff with my domain, honeycutt.family, audiobook shelf, audiobooks, Kavana's book, comics, and EPUB and stuff. Image is like Google Photos, Jellyfin. Some viewers or listeners will probably know already most of these things that are running on that domain. And then I have various services like Hydra, which is NixOS CI continuous integration running on my personal domain, 800button.net. And then like SyncThing, Wastebin, and then I have honeyfetch.app as a domain that's running on the box as well. Bootloader configurations here. So I keep the configuration limit. So we were talking about in the earlier show about generations. I limit the generations to 5 because it seems like a reasonable number and saves on the little disk space that it takes anyway. And then I define my software RAID here. So I have Madam handling that, those two drives. Any binary emulating system, so I can run commands are generally confirmed for RC4 stuff on this x86 box. I'll show you how that kind of ties in the Hydra later. My data, so that's where the RAID is set up there. The RAID array is set up. Enable flakes. I can run flake commands because flakes is not considered stable by Nix, so I have to enable it manually like that. GC, which is just runs through some stuff, automating stuff to clear out anything older than a week to try to maintain disk space. Then there's my password and hashed, so it's kind of pointless. And my SSH key is just my public key anyway. So I could just log into the box from anything that has my SSH key loaded on without password. Here's some packages that I have. Bottom, BusyBox stuff. So I have various tooling like LSUSB and stuff like that. Fmpeg for the video encoding with Jellyfin. These inputs are kind of not really super. They're kind of defined in my flake as separate inputs. I'll go into that a little bit later. I allow certain ports to be open for the services to run, or I can't reach them at all. I set the host name. SSH is on. This is actually kind of where it gets kind of fun. So for my personal website that's on there on that server, I have it as a Git repository. So this user system to user service will every I think 12 hours or so will pull in, do a Git pull on that repository. So I have the latest and greatest changes that I've made to my personal website. I have a similar thing for my Git repo for my little wiki. And then there's a follow-up service that rebuilds the website after that pull's been done. So that it rebuilds the website because it's a static-based website. Similar thing for the personal website for Honeyfetch. Am I going too fast? Let me know because I have that tendency.
No, this is great.
And everything that's not particularly useful. Probably like I was talking about Hydra. I have services.hydra enable true, the URL for it, the local host, port 3000, and then any systems that it can kind of emulate. So I have x86 normal stuff, and then ARM64, so I can build packages for ARM64 on x86. I have Jellyfin, which is all the video stuff I put TV shows and movies on. So it just sets up the user that's running as. Its service is enabled. It opens the firewall, so I don't have to hard to find the port is being open. Most services allow that on their next configuration. And then any packages that it needs to actually work. So Jellyfin itself, FFmpeg for video encoding and the likes. Was there anything more in depth? Like, am I missing? I know I'm kind of leading the charge here, but like, I just want to know. Don't take over.
What about deploying a new project? What if I wanted to run, say, a Minecraft server or something? How difficult is that to get set up?
I had a Minecraft one in here. Funny enough. So generally, I would just make the configuration file, the Nix file, like Navidrome is a music player. So I set the address as a local host and where the music's actually being stored into. That's all the music. It's going to that folder. It's running as my user. And then I would just, I'm editing as not root because I don't want to mess with this. And then I would just add it into this file, save. And then I would run NixOS rebuild. Would be worse if rebuild switch. That switches it live. If I wanted to like wait until I next reboot the computer, I'd just do NixOS rebuild boot. So that would rebuild the configuration. My next boot will boot into that versus switching live to the next generation in place.
Gotcha. Now, does NixOS have a dashboard of some sort that we can take a look at? Something for those that are less command line comfortable.
It's you looking for like general services running or
yeah.
I have a Glances running on it right now, which shows some of the service information. Let me switch over there. So this is Glances running. All right, this is Glances running, so it'll show the status for all my services running. Navidrome that you saw, Jellyfin, stuff like that. They'll have links to it, so I could just click here, and then I have all my music loaded on here. Jellyfin here loaded, so I'll have all my movies and stuff running from that Homelab little server in the basement.
That's really cool. So how does this, something that we didn't talk about on the podcast is right now my main server here at home is Unraid. So how would Unraid and NixOS compare?
I have not done too much stuff with Unraid. I've heard of it. It sounds like there's this probably be more hands-on than Unraid has its apps stuff. I think it just does Docker containers similarly.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be more of a hands-off approach, I think, to this. And then their unique feature of like you can raid multiple drives. I think like different sizes and everything. This would not be similar because I'm just using standard raid. So like the drives need to match size-wise and stuff like that. So I don't think it'd be a super close comparison. It's just more of like if you want to do stuff and hands off and not really deal with it and just do the Docker ecosystem.
Gotcha. Well, that's really cool. I appreciate the sneak peek into your Homelab and a look at some of the different services you're running. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and don't forget to subscribe, as we are producing new videos frequently and new podcast episodes every 2 weeks. Or if you have any questions for Aaron, make sure to put those in the comments below. Aaron and I will make sure to check those out and answer any NixOS questions you might have. Aaron, thanks again. I really appreciate you joining me as my guest this week.
Thanks for having me. See you, everybody.